There is a common sentiment related to pleasure and doubting the easy peasy method, and it is holding a lot of you back from escaping porn. Comments I'm seeing on this subreddit all the time are something like, how can porn not be pleasurable if it makes me feel good? How could naked women not make me feel good? Are we just brainwashing ourselves to think that porn doesn't feel good? Is easy peasy lying? Does this sound like you? Are you struggling with the concept of genuine pleasure? Do you have any doubts about this method whatsoever? Well, if so, great news. There is a very easy fix to this, and it's not your fault things haven't clicked yet. I actually don't think the book covers a topic well enough, and I'm making this post to help you make things click. First, a very brief piece of context. A lot of you are doubting the EP method, and if you can't keep an open mind, you're going to fail. I used the easy peasy method to not only quit porn, but also alcohol 3 years ago. I was a massive binge drinker, and I quit alcohol instantly after reading The Easy Way to Quit Drinking. Furthermore, millions have used this method to quit nicotine. I just say this to provide you with a mind frame that porn is no different. Easy peasy works for all substances because all addictive substances work the same. So, if you're willing to trust in the process, you can do it. Let's now get to the root of the issue. You are currently struggling to differentiate between an illusion of pleasure and actual pleasure. Even if you think you get it, you don't. Read on. The book tells us that porn doesn't provide a genuine pleasure, and this is getting muddy for some of you. Users read that porn does not provide genuine pleasure and get lost in the idea. This means porn should provide zero positive feelings to them. They then look at porn and try to tell themselves that it should give them nothing. They try to re-brainwash themselves into not liking it. This is not going to work. The problem is that they are still a user and down in a mental hole created by porn. Because of this, porn is, by nature, going to cause a mental boost. This is not what the author means by pleasure, however. Regardless, when we use and still experience a positive feeling, this creates doubt and fear that the EP method is lying. Porn is making you feel better, so you start to doubt easy peasy. So what's the problem here and how can we fix it? Well, first, let's remember the most important concept in the book. You should by now be familiar with the banging your head on the wall analogy. The idea is that banging your head on the wall feels awful, but regardless, you do experience a moment of relief when it ends. And sure, that relief is a nice moment. You are experiencing a positive shift in your consciousness, but nobody would ever say it's actually a pleasurable activity. Porn works the exact same. Porn slowly lowers your overall mood and happiness over months and years of use. The daily suffering when you are not watching porn is the banging your head part. All using porn does is then create a moment of relief from the day-to-day suffering that it itself causes. And since we've read the book, we understand this concept decently, but things still don't click. You've read this before, you know it, but porn is providing you with a good feeling, and this causes you to struggle to differentiate from genuine pleasure. It's an issue I had too, and the way I got over this was the key to quitting porn. Are you ready? This is the most important step. What you need to do is this. You need to let go of any fears or doubts or self-loathing when you use porn, and just experience each session for what it is. No shame, no guilt. Do not try to resist the fact that porn does feel good when you use it. Just accept what you're feeling. Do this every time. Do not beat yourself up. Just do your thing and get on with your day. I know this sounds counterintuitive, but the problem is that you are pushing against it, and this stops you from seeing what the pleasure actually is. When you regularly view porn, porn is going to create the illusion of feeling good. It's a real feeling. You genuinely feel better in the moment. The key in this exercise is removing the guilt while simultaneously reading the book. You need to experience that boost without other emotions clouding your judgment, but also with the teachings of easy peasy fresh in your mind. The goal of this method is that as time passes, it's going to slowly illuminate what porn is actually doing for you. If you're caught up in the guilt, you can't see it for what it is. For so long, I was trying to resist the idea that porn use made me feel good whatsoever. I wanted to brainwash myself to not enjoy porn, but I was missing the point of the book entirely. I was trying to force an idea that isn't quite correct. I was still experiencing a boost from porn, but in not being able to identify it, I was living in fear that porn was too powerful. I thought that since I couldn't stop feeling pleasure from it, the EP method wasn't going to work. Fortunately, after a week or two of using without regret, I started to see each session in a different light. I was able to accept that I was experiencing positive sensations, and this almost instantly led me to a deeper understanding of what I was doing. I began to realize that each use is not making me feel good, but rather, simply it was just providing a moment of relief from suffering. It's a very subtle difference, and it's why we get so caught up in this trap. The reality is that I was starting to view porn more as a coping mechanism for itself, rather than fun time. And so as time went on and I kept watching, I started seeing that what I had previously thought to be pleasure was more like, okay, time to feed the beast so that I don't feel urges all day. This was then lead me to make the most important realization. Every time I was loading up the browser, I was seeking a momentary relief from suffering. Porn was responsible for the relief, so yes, this was making porn seem pleasurable. The problem was that porn was also the thing causing the suffering in the first place, and it was exactly in this revelation that I truly understood what the author means by porn not being a genuine pleasure. When a user watches porn, they experience the illusion of pleasure because it provides a relief from their day-to-day constant suffering and decreased mood from porn use. Porn is not actually giving you something, but is only providing a short escape from the problems it causes you. Do you see it now? It's not that porn doesn't provide an upside when you are a user, it's that continuing to use porn is only trying to escape the problem it's causing. It's a treatment, not a cure, and there is an easy way to prove it. Have you ever gone a few weeks without porn? For many, the easy peasy method has worked for a week or two, but their brainwashing brings them back in. Anyone who has made it a decent stretch will tell you the first time you come back to porn that it was actually quite disappointing. And this has been my experience every single time. As I started reading this book, I would actually make it a week or two when I still didn't fully understand the concepts. I would inevitably fall back into it, but for me, that first session back would always be super underwhelming, and I'd think, why do I watch this? But by then, my dopamine would once again be pushed down. Then, the following session would seem to be really pleasurable as I remembered porn to be. In reality, what was happening is the first session would bring me down from a regular human baseline, and then once the deficit was in play, my second porn session would cause temporarily relief, providing an illusion of pleasure. It was only to make me feel good after it first made me feel like crud. Let me make it crystal clear. Porn can make you feel the sensation of pleasure, and you shouldn't deny those feelings when you are a user. The reason that porn isn't an actual pleasure, however, is that the only way it can make you feel good is by first making you feel bad. That feeling you associate with pleasure is actually just a relief from feeling bad. The worse porn makes you feel due to decreased mood or large cravings, the bigger the pleasure appears, when in reality, the pleasure is just the ending of suffering. If you want to quit porn, you really just have to grasp this idea. Once you get this, the question is pretty simple. Would you like to experience 23.5 hours of your life suffering for maybe 30 minutes of feeling okay each day? Or would you rather just stop chasing that momentary relief, go through the 3 weeks of resisting porn, and then live a life 24/7 without unnecessary suffering? It seems pretty easy to me. Remember, whether you choose to watch porn in the next 3 weeks or not, you're going to experience suffering. You can get a momentary relief, and then be sent back to hell, or just wait it out, and the suffering will be gone for life. The choice is yours. And to be honest, once you really get this to click, there will probably only be a few days of small urges, and then it's pretty much gone. When it clicks, it becomes so easy to quit. Bonus tip. While I think it's important for your first read to be an actual read, I highly recommend listening to the audiobook on YouTube if you're still struggling. A lot of you are grappling with doubt, and I found that hearing another person providing the information helped solidify my belief in the method enough to grasp the ideas better. It feels like you have someone there who really wants you to see the light, rather than you having to do a bit of extra work when reading a cold book. Conclusion. I should reiterate that I have not just used the easy peasy method to quit porn, but for alcohol too. I originally found this method after I used Alan Carr's method to quit drinking. I haven't drank in over 3 years, and I used to be a massive binge drinker. The easy peasy method is universally effective for all addictive substances, as they all work in the same way, so porn is no different. A lot of you doubt easy peasy and then move on to freedom. While I've read Freedom for both of my vices, it wasn't able to utterly eliminate my desire. I think Freedom is a great read, and I support anyone using it to eliminate an addiction. If it works, then great, but the worst thing you can do is use it as a tool to doubt the easy peasy method. Freedom works for some, but that doesn't mean EP is ineffective. This really works, and it will get you out. Much love, and happy quitting.